last time you were here?
Oh, God, was it?
You've been here more recently than me.
I mean, I was here to do the end of the show, which
That's
was
right.
August of 2020.
Yeah.
Did we have a convention here last year?
No.
Well, shit, man, that was it.
Yeah.
And for
I
you,
haven't
it was
been here since I wrapped
when
in March of 2020. So,
and the plane almost went down.
yeah. So this is, I felt, I drove up from Washington this morning.
Okay.
And is that just you know where Washington is?
Got my ID.
Driving. You were applauding the driving, yes. I can still drive. On the drive, I spoke with my 98-year-old grandmother. She turned 98 today. Anyway, it's just, I felt super nostalgic.
Yeah, right?
Just driving up, it was like, that was my commute. Because I would drive from Bellingham
I remember
up
that.
to the studio, and I was like waiting at the border crossing, like, oh, these guys are gonna make us waste so much time.
Yeah. Being late for work.
Yeah.
Same old things. Yeah, and
I was late for work so many times.
Oh, man.
And every time I would be like, yeah, the border crossing was terrible. Like, border crossing was just fine. I have Nexus. I would drive right across. But I would always be like, yeah, sorry, border crossing. Yeah, what can I do?
yeah. And yet it feels like, we never left.
Yeah.
It is.
That's because we're clinging to our former glory. We don't wait. Yeah.
Yeah. Dressing up as our characters. And,
Yes. Yeah, you get it.
All right, have fun.
Okay, bye. But I have always done this thing, which is when I'm just thinking about being late to work, made me think of this. I come up with really great excuses. Does anyone else do that?
Yeah. Every day.
Oh yeah, a pigeon hit my car. So I come up with these very convoluted excuses, and then when I get to work, for instance, I just tell the truth. But I spend a lot of time crafting the perfect excuse that then goes wasted. So I should start using those excuses.
How are you?
That was a non sequitur. Did you say, how are you?
Yes.
I'm fine, thank you for asking. How are you? You're good? Cool. I can't say that I missed you. I don't even know who I'm talking to. 12 years I spent in this city. My daughter was born 2 blocks away in a little apartment right over there. We got like one of those home birthing tubs, and she was born in this little condo that we had that we rented sight unseen. It's right on the busiest street in Vancouver. It was super noisy. It was terrible. But the photos look great online, so we rented it. And there were a lot of Canadian geese. We call them Canadian geese. You probably just call them geese. And my toddler son at the time would always go out into the sort of closest edge of Stanley Park and try to kill geese. That was...
They bite.
They bite?
Yep.
They were terrified of him because they saw the hate in his eyes. He wanted them dead. We figured out with Wes when he was really little that he needed to burn off energy or he would kill his baby sister. And so we would take him outside and have him try to kill geese. And it was great childcare. I was never worried about him being hurt by the geese. He just wanted to get his hands on one so bad. We were raising like an animal abuser. It's terrible. But they were Canadian geese. If they were American geese, I'd be a different story. But international conflict. Hi, how are you?
My question is, I'm really looking forward to Gotham Knights, and after playing Castielso for so long, is it hard to get used to playing a new character, and is there anything about Harvey Dent that you can tease?
It is a little unusual getting, I notice myself doing things every once in a while, and I'm like, oh my god, that's force of habit. You are not playing Cass, young man. You go back there and you do that take again, and you think about what you've done. So it does in little insidious ways, just like when you step in front of the camera and you hear action, it's like a Pavlovian dog. Like at a certain point, I'm like, right, got it, action. Hello, dude. That's not what I'm doing. So it has been interesting, but it also is quite lovely playing a character that's like an actual human. I mean, ironically, he's going to become something of a, whatever. I'm teasing something, as you requested. What do you want me to tell you? I'll tell you anything.
Just whatever you're allowed to share.
I'm not allowed to share anything, so let's just dispense with the pleasantries and cut to what I'm not allowed to do. I feel quite lucky with how the character is being written. It's got a lot of layers. And we're getting to see, so, every single time I've talked about Gotham Knights on stage at a convention, I have gotten a phone call from an executive. So I'm just parsing my words carefully. It turns out, so with the whole Batman universe and DC Comics and all of that, they really care about their intellectual property. And they don't want all of the secrets revealed until things show up on screen. With Supernatural, nobody gave a fuck. You could do whatever you want. I could have read to you the last episode of Supernatural a year in advance, and everyone would have been like, that's Misha. I could have been like, and Cass is gay, and everyone would have been, that's what is cool about what we're doing with Gotham Knights, just from the vantage point of my character, is that the on-screen versions of Harvey Dent that we've seen so far are kind of like this sudden snap. Like we just see him snap and become Two-Face. And I'm gonna get in trouble for this. What we're doing is we're exploring like what causes that, like what's underneath it all, and getting to like really slow it down and break it down into its constituent parts, and it's kind of awesome. I love it. It's really interesting and fun, and it's like being in therapy for your character. So anyway, if I don't get fired, you're gonna see some cool stuff.
Hi, Misha. I'm a big fan of a lot of what you've done off screen as well, including during lockdown. Gish was really fun, I know, for me and for other people. Have great fun and connect with people around the world. So my question to you was, if Sam, Dean and Cass were in a Gish team, what tasks, maybe real or imagined, do you think they'd excel at, and what do you think they'd be absolutely hopeless at?
So, for those of you who don't know, Gish is a scavenger hunt that I run and have been running for a long time. And we do all kinds of strange items in it. And I think Sam, Dean, and Cass would excel at things that involve exorcisms or violence. We have a lot of items in Gish that require hand-to-hand combat and violence. They probably wouldn't be as good at like connect with an older relative and find out one of the early childhood memories that were meaningful to them. and share that on Instagram. Those type of items, first of all, they don't have Instagram accounts as far as I know. They should have. Did we never do that? Did we never do, like we did the French mistake, right? Where Misha was on Twitter. Was that the only time we were on?
Sam went on and like researched people sometimes on social media.
Oh, really?
Sam was on Facebook. Yeah.
What, people always ask, like, what do you wish you explored more on Supernatural that you didn't, like, get deep enough into? Social media is obviously the answer. Can you imagine if Dean was like, dude, post that video again of you. Oh man, I can't believe they blocked me because of the decapitation.
Dean was on a dating app, wasn't he?
Dean was on a what?
A dating app.
A
Wasn't he on a
dating app. That's different.
Is it though?
It is different, yeah. Did you think that Twitter was a dating app? How's that going for you?
Yeah.
Sammy, what's the view count on that photo that you posted of the hex bag? That's awesome, man. You should cross-post that. Yes. Hi, Krista. How are you?
I'm good. I beat up all of these people to get in line ahead.
How did you do that? You were sitting there, and then you're now there. Did you just... I see.
So I'm very late and recently saw Encanto. So if you were given a gift, not necessarily something you would choose, but kind of based on your personality and everything else, what gift would you be given?
I haven't seen Encanto.
It's sort of like a superpower. So like one can control the weather, one's super strong, one is super hearing, someone can see the future, but it's like bad for them because, you know.
We're going to talk about what?
So
Okay.
it's sort of like if you were given a superpower, but it wasn't your choice, based on kind of your personality and who you are and everything. So for example, mine would be I could make everyone's drinks be constantly full. And make sure everyone's fed all the time.
Is that, so that's your sort of real life superpower?
At home, no, yeah. Oh, that's an empty drink? Let's fill it.
My superpower is that I can always make a tasty meal out of whatever is in the refrigerator, even if there's nothing in the refrigerator. Somehow, oh my God, how did you whip this up? And I think, well, if you looked under the ice in the freezer, that is something that I'm quite good at. I'm also good at making the best of really shitty situations if I'm in the right mood. My ex and I were on a road trip in a borrowed Airstream. We were going to rent an Airstream. This was like shortly after I started on Supernatural. This is an example that I'm giving you of making the best of a good situation. We're gonna rent like a camper van to go on a little road trip over Christmas break, and a friend was like, "Well, don't rent one. I have one that you can borrow." It actually wasn't a friend. It was a friend's friend who was also a drug dealer. And so we took this big Airstream that had not been maintained at all and was a total piece of garbage. And the first day we were out, all of the plumbing froze and the sewage system stopped working, and it was like stinky and disgusting, and I was constantly trying to fix it. We got to this point, we were driving into Nevada, and there was this one pass that we had actually been on that road many times, and I was like, I know it's like almost midnight, but I just want to go another few miles so at least we can park somewhere where we haven't been before. Like we're finally getting to new ground. So we went up over this pass and we started coming down the hill, and we were going like 70 miles an hour, and one of the bald front tires on this like 60-foot RV burst, and like sparks flying everywhere, and I'm like swerving down the highway, metal on pavement, like barely got it to a stop without rolling the thing over. And of course, all of the aluminum on the side is now shredded up. It was like so much more expensive than renting an RV would have been. But then it was like 1 o'clock in the morning in the middle of nowhere in Nevada, and we finally got a tow truck to come get us, and they towed us. It was Friday night, and they towed us to this parking lot that was Les Schwab Tire that was adjacent to a Walmart, also in the middle of nowhere, and that was it. There was a little like a little dinky casino next to the Walmart, and this Les Schwab Tire and the Walmart, and the place didn't open until Monday. And so we spent 2 days of our vacation parked in the Les Schwab Tire with all the air compressors going off every 10 minutes, like it sounded like a machine gun, so you couldn't sleep. And we went to the casino and we had breakfast, and then we stayed in the booth until a late lunch. We just spent all day in the casino diner. And it was so fun. We had such a great time. Like, it was like the best. We had the best time. We explored Walmart. I got to know Walmart in a way that no one does. It turns out it's kind of like a playground. It was actually it ended up being the best part of the trip, even though it was truly like, oh, that sounds like hell. So anyway, there you go. It's a long-winded answer. I don't know where that came from, but there you go. Hi.
So I wanted to know what was the hardest scene for you to get through with Jensen and Jared when they were pranking you and messing around with you. It was pretty well known that behind the scenes.
No, I don't know what you're talking about. They've been perfect angels the whole time. There were a few scenes. There are a few scenes that pop out as being particularly difficult, just because they were horrible people. There were times when I just wanted to go home, and I couldn't because they wouldn't let me get my coverage done. At some point, I decided to stop trying to not laugh. The first maybe year or two on Supernatural, I would bite my cheeks. People gave me tips of like the dolly operator, Dave Riabel, who like pushed the apparatus that the camera operator was on top of. He was like, hey Misha, one trick that you might want to try, just, he took me aside. He was like, I just wanted to tell you maybe what you could try is, sometimes when I'm trying not to laugh, if someone's trying to make me laugh and I'm trying not to laugh, what I do is I just imagine that their face is being dissolved with acid. And so there's a lot of actual footage on Supernatural where it looks like Cass is focusing on something, but it's really me trying to imagine Jared's face being burned with hydrochloric acid. And he's doing something annoying, molesting my crotch or something, and I am imagining that his skin is just peeling off of his face. That's a lot of what the acting is that you're seeing. Ironic that now I'm playing Two-Face. Maybe this is karma getting back at me. Yeah. I don't know. I could give you specifics, but I'm not going to because I mean. Hi.
Hello.
Nobody cut in front of you this time. That's so nice.
That's so nice. I was wondering if you had 8 ounces of water and you took a tablespoon and put it in 8 ounces of red. No, that's not my question.
Do you know the answer to the question?
No. I haven't had enough sleep to know the answer.
It's funny because I don't know why I just posted. When I was in 6th grade when that question was presented to me, and then I got the answer wrong. The question is, if you have a glass of water and a glass of wine, they're exactly the same volumes. You take a tablespoon of the wine, you put it in the water, you mix it up. You take a tablespoon of the water with a little bit of wine in it, you put it back in the water, you mix it up. Is there more water in the wine in the water, or are they equal? This is, I know, fascinating and just why you wanted to come to this event. But it was a question that I got when I was in 6th grade. And I got it wrong. And then my teacher explained it, and I was like, oh my God, that's so amazing. And I recently shared it with a cast member on Gotham Knights. And she got it wrong, just like I did when I was 11. And then I posted the question on social media, and she posted a reply, which was, Misha, I'm so sick of you. We haven't known each other long, but she's already sick of me. And by the way, it's earned. She should be sick of me. But she didn't post any context, like, I have already given her this question, like, why do I keep harping on this thing that I learned in 6th grade? I've already given her the question, now she's seeing it on social media. But she got this litany of replies to her reply, like, basically, let's call it what it is. Supernatural fans trying to kill her. Hating her for saying this. And she said, oh my God, I can't believe you've been doing this for 15 years. And then I composed a response to defend her to post on Instagram. And then I decided, yeah, it's kind of fun.
My true question is...
Yes, I'm sorry.
There was a screening last night of French Mistake, and...
Oh, was there?
There was.
Here?
Yes.
And
You missed it.
we've heard J2 talk about their experience of not wanting to play themselves, but wanting to play Sam and Dean. During that episode, they were fine with it. But you really played a character of Misha, and one of my favorite parts is how your voice gets higher the longer the episode goes on, until it's really quite high. And if you had any thoughts about what you brought to your fictionalized Misha and how that experience was for you.
Well, I read the script. First of all, there was all lawyers involved. It was very complicated because I guess some various complicated legal things are triggered when you start portraying yourself on a fictional show. So they had to get all kinds of approvals. It was very onerous. They had to be very careful about it. But we were all like, yeah, let's do this. It sounds great. And then we got the first script. And Ben Edlund had written the script, and I read it, and I was like, I like it, but could we make the Misha character like the quintessential, this is a direct quote, the quintessential douchey Hollywood actor? And Ben was like, oh, I love that. And he sent back one minor tweak, but basically there was no change. Like, oh, I see. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna recalibrate right now. And then I added in a few things like the hair and makeup people are working on me and I push them away, or ignoring the PA who says goodnight to me, or various different things that I try to feather in to make the character feel more douchey. I mean, it's funny because I was like, hola, mis amigos, which is like, come on, how douchey is that? But then, I also was calling my fans minions at that point, which is, let's admit it, kind of douchey. And I meet people all the time now who are like, hey, hola, I'm a Misha amigo, and I'm like, oh my God, what's happening? Jared had those we were all playing heightened versions of ourselves, but they were all, it was satire, but it was good satire because it was actually leaning into our bona fide personality traits. Like Jared had those giant portraits of himself, right, on the wall, which of course is ridiculous, and he didn't have those, right, until after the episode when he took them home. So after that episode aired, my manager at the time, who didn't watch my stuff very often, was like, "Hey, Misha, I happened to watch that episode where you've been playing yourself." And I have to say, it was so nice to just see you playing yourself. Yeah. I learned a lot about myself in that process, which was cool. That episode was a lot of fun for us because it operated on many different levels. Like, you could watch it and not know anything about the show, and it's still like so weird and kind of funny that you get something out of it. And then if you're a real fan of the show, it has other layers that you get. And then if you're a crew member on the show, or a cast member, there are lots of Easter eggs in that episode that are just for you. Like, you would have to have worked on the show to know a lot of the inside jokes about the crew members and things like that that were in there. So it was a genius episode. It was quite genius. Yeah. I haven't seen it in a long. I would have loved to have been here for that. Nobody invited me.
Schedule was posted.
Nobody asked you. Hi.
I'm Bonnie from Seattle.
Hi. Did you drive up here as well?
I did, at night.
Uh-huh.
So I had a different question, but then you
Does your car have lights?
It does.
So not that hard. Yeah, okay.
Very dark. For 3.5 hours. Okay, so I had another question, but then you mentioned Wes, which made me think, do you have a personality trait that you are now seeing in your son that's causing you to say, "Oh shit, I'm in trouble"?
You mean, am I seeing something of myself in my son?
Yes.
No, he's dodging that bullet. He's his own person. He is extremely disciplined, which is not like me at all. But he does this thing where he said, you know how I set a New Year, every year I set New Year's resolutions. And they can be, I don't know, they range from diet to exercise to meditation to whatever, like some sort of new regime that I'm gonna follow this year, hell or high water. And by like January 14th, I've stopped. So I guess West saw me, every year I write my goals for the year, and I have like a little ritual around the new year. And West saw me doing that, and he's like, I'm gonna do this too. I'm gonna set a New Year's resolution and stick to it. And so he did a New Year's resolution of like, I'm gonna do 50 curls on each arm he's like, I wanna get stronger. So I'm gonna do 50 curls on each arm every day. And he did not miss a single day. And he went from curling, he was like, 11 when he did this. He went from curling 10 pounds to curling 25 pounds, which is what I was curling when I was in college. So we're cut from a different cloth, me and that kid. But I don't know. I noticed that he and I are like, he's 12 now, and we chat on the phone most nights, and he and I are like starting to converge on a sense of humor. So we have like these absurd conversations that are just like escalating in absurd scenarios, and both of us play it very dry and straight. And I'm like, oh, you're a total wiener like me. That's so great. It's nice, like having do you have kids? How old is she?
26.
It's nice when they're like starting to get to the age where you're feathering in friend, Like I'm half parent, half friend now, which is a nice place to be, I think.
I'm still there.
You're still there? Half parent, half, so you have to stay parent, huh?
Yeah.
Shit. Okay. She doesn't realize that you're her parent. Oh, she does see you as a
She
parent.
still sees me as her mom, and it's still there.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's nice too, in its own way. Cool. Thanks. Bye. Hi.
Hi. First
First, thank you so much for all your activism in the world. I really appreciate everything that you've been doing and how you let us help.
Thanks for saying that, but shouldn't you be apologizing for that schedule comment earlier?
Sorry. I've got a crooked halo. I'm working on it. Also, epaulets suit you. You look very nice.
Thanks.
I was wondering, when you go...
Are you talking about my sweater?
Yes.
Epaulets, they're called?
Yes.
I thought you said epilepsy, and I was like, what? What did
I've
I say?
already embarrassed myself once today. I'm not going to do it.
This sweater is cashmere. I'm not bragging, but I want you to know that it's like a fancy sweater. And I bought it, this was like 3 years ago, I bought it, and I brought it home, and the next door neighbor kid, Miles, was over playing with my kids. And Miles, at the time, he had a little bit of impulse control. I said something about like sitting down or getting to the table or something as I was making them dinner, and Miles ran up to me and bit me in the back. Like a wild fucking animal. And he literally bit a hole. I don't know if you can see it. But he bit a hole like in a cartoon where there's a dog and it takes a bit of the fabric in its mouth. My brand new $300 cashmere sweater, this kid came and bit a hole in it. And I was like, oh no, I'm not throwing this sweater out just because it has a hole bitten in it. So sewed it up. But now I like it even more because I know that this is the sweater that a child bit through.
I'm a knitter, so I really appreciate that story.
This is my epileptic sweater.
My question for you, I was just wondering, when you travel short or long periods of time, if there's anything that you bring with you as much for, or more for comfort purposes as for anything practical.
Well, that's none of your business, is it? Did you say a flashlight? The flashlight is practical and comfortable, is that what you're saying? I'm sorry, Vancouver. I have a backpack that I always have with me that has a few little sentimental things, like a couple of things that my daughter drew, a little Harley Davidson bell that somebody gave me that's kind of meaningful. Like I have these little like sentimental trinkets that I bring, and I bring my passport. Comforting because I know I can get the fuck out if I need to. It's also practical because you need it to get the fuck out. What about you?
Well, I've gotten better at traveling later than I used to, and then my body broke, and that became a whole other suitcase. But generally, I just need something fuzzy. So like I said, I'm a knitter. I very rarely go anywhere without a pattern that I'm working on, and usually the yarn is very, very fuzzy of some kind. So then I can work my hands, deal with my anxiety if I have any, and when I'm missing my cat, it's like a built-in.
That's funny. In my bag, I actually have the pelt of a cat.
Did you manage to send your animals?
No, he was just being like a typical curious kid. He was like, Dad, what's the deal?
He was doing us a favor with the geese, 100%.
No, I'm talking about the cat. He was like, what's this? How many ways are there to skin a cat? And I said, well, let's find out. Anyway, that's enough of that. Hi.
So my question is, what is the biggest difference working on Gotham Knights versus Supernatural, like either how the set is run or just how the show is run, besides the obvious no Jared?
The professionalism. That's it. It's the professionalism. We do scenes where every party in the scene is just trying to do the best job they can on the scene. So that's the most stark difference. I can't believe we actually got a television show made at all. With the fucking around we did. It is amazing. The very first thing I remember, the very first exchange I remember having with Jared was, I don't even remember what the scene was, but it was very early on. And we did a take of a scene, and he came up to me and he said, you know, we were rolling on that. And I'm like this new kid on this new show. And I was like, oh my God, did I really fuck it up that bad? He's like, yeah, we were actually rolling, you know. Did you think we were just rehearsing just now? It occurred to me, like, working on Gotham Knights, like these guest stars come in, which is what I was at the time. And they're all like super nervous and just want to do the best job, and they're super worried about like messing up their lines, or heaven forbid, one of the stars of the show not liking what they're doing. And Jared just like zeroed in. He was like, dude, you know we were actually filming when we just did. You're not going to do it like that again, are you? There's nothing you can do to undermine a show more than to make a comment like that. And that was just the very tip of the iceberg. It was fun to then, I mean, it's funny because we talk about Supernatural, like, oh my God, it was such a great cast and crew. Everybody really loved each other and supported each other and tried their hardest to fuck each other up as much as possible. We always leave that part out when we're describing it, but that was a definite through line. We're gonna have tonight, we're having a cast and crew rap party for Supernatural, because we never got to do it because of the pandemic. So it's going to be happening here at the convention. You're not invited. We got some room somewhere in the hotel where we're having like 100.
Gregory's going to murder you.
What's that?
Nothing.
Am I not supposed to share this? Is this also?
Jen Gregory's going to
We knew there was a rap.
Jen Gregory is going to murder me. I guess it's supposed to be a secret. So don't tell anybody. But we're going to see one another and reminisce about all of these lovely things. But like I was just thinking about our camera operator, Brad Creaser, who I can't tell you how many times it was like a close-up on me. When you're doing a close-up, the other actor often wedges right up next to the camera, so that the eye line, when you're talking, like when I'm talking to Jared, if the camera's on me and it's a close-up, Jared will be, if this is the camera, Jared's face might be like half behind the camera, like that close to it, right? Because it makes it look better for the eye line if I'm looking right next to the camera. But while he was doing that, he would be doing things like, for instance, having a pair of tweezers and plucking out ear hair from our camera operator's ear, who's holding, it's a handheld shot, and he's holding the camera, and Jared, in between saying his dialogue, is plucking out ear hair. And Brad is like trying, you know, the expression white knuckling it, like for sure, white knuckling it, trying his hardest not to mess up by shaking, laughing, flinching. He just has to try to stay still while this monster is pulling you. And I am in the close-up, trying not to laugh, watching what I'm seeing. It was a really challenging environment to work in. We don't have that on Gotham Knights. None of the cast members have tweezers. Anyway. Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
I didn't think I'd get chosen to come up here, so
So you didn't plan what to say?
No, I didn't, but I have something.
Good.
So my best friend lives in Bellingham, and we're from southeast of Seattle, so we're stopping to see her on the way home.
Oh.
Where should we go?
I don't know. What kind of things are you into?
Eating.
Okay.
Drinking.
Eating and drinking. Well, there's it's funny. I ended up living in Bellingham partly because I was on a flight, and I was going from LA to Vancouver, and the flight, it was an Alaska flight, and the flight attendant was like, "Oh, you're going to Vancouver? You know what I love up there is Bellingham, Washington. I always go to this place called the Old Town Cafe. It's just the best." And so, because that flight attendant said that, I was like, well, you know what? I'm gonna pop down to Bellingham and check out this Old Town Cafe. And I did that, and I got there, and I was like, this town is great, I'm moving here. So, check out the Old Town Cafe. It's not the greatest food in the world, but it's a sweet spot, and it's a really pretty little corner of town, and you're gonna, also Camber is great.
Okay.
There's 2 tips for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hi. This is awkward.
Clearly weren't expecting that. My name is Victoria. This is my first con, so this is interesting.
Welcome. Where are you coming from?
Edinburgh, Scotland.
Oh my God.
Scotland.
Well, do you live here, or are you actually coming here for the convention from Edinburgh?
I came here from Edinburgh for 9 days because I have to go back to uni. So.
Oh my God. How long have you been planning this?
2 years, yeah. Because my friend Becky, she moved to Edinburgh for 2 years to work and study, and she lived with me. And then we started getting into Supernatural again during the pandemic. And then she came back, and so we were like, well, we've got like last few episodes to watch, we'll video call each other and watch them. And then we're like, we've got a convention, like surely the pandemic will be over in November, let's go.
You know, they do conventions in the UK. Well, glad you made it.
My question is, well, I'm like a really big fan of all the other stuff you do, as always the acting. So I was wondering if like Cory Booker hit you up and was like, hey, if I get in the White House, will you be like communications director? Would you take it?
Sure. I would also just do his laundry. Happily.
If you've got a funny story from the White House as well.
A funny story from the White House? Sure, yeah. I was a terrible intern, I can tell you that. They almost fired me. I got to the White House and I thought, like, naively, I applied to be a White House intern. And I thought, this is gonna be great. I mean, I guess I'll probably be going over, like, the day's events with the president, probably helping him hash out what kind of foreign policy he wants to do. I'm completely naive about what it was going to be. And I got there, and there were all these other White House interns, and I was like, I'm not the White House intern? I thought like this was going to be my job, and now there's 300 of us. And I got assigned to the Office of Presidential Personnel, which was in charge, that office was charged with political appointments. So the president gets to appoint about 3,000 different positions in the federal government, and this was the office that like administered that. And there were all of these letters coming in, like these letters from governors' offices saying, hey, here's somebody who I think you should consider for ambassador to Sweden. And then, but I knew as I was reading these letters that came in, that was actually one of the governor's many interns writing this letter, and then I would read it, and then I would write a letter back. The president or anyone important never read this letter, ever, and it was this correspondence that was happening between interns within the federal government. It was a complete waste of everyone's time. I immediately identified that and was like, hey, can I do something else? And they said no. And so I said, well, I don't have time to come in 5 days a week. My schedule's gotten quite busy. and I will be able to come in 2 days a week. And they said, this internship is very coveted and difficult to get, and it is not a 2-day-a-week internship. And I said, I'm unavailable the other days of the week. I'm in a lot of, there's a high demand for me right now, and I'm doing I'm working at National Public Radio now, and they're paying me, and there was part of me that thought, like, maybe I could get the White House and National Public Radio in a bidding war if I had no idea how things worked at that point in my life. But I ended up basically working 2 days a week, and while I was there, not doing a goddamn thing. I asked for a letter of recommendation from the person who was running the Office of Presidential Personnel at the end, and she was like, I totally forgot about this. I think I blocked it out for years. She literally did this. She went, really? Yeah. And then I offered to write it.
Are you having fun?
Yes, are you?
I am, thank
Good.
you. But in all seriousness, I really respect all the work that you do for Random Acts and your scavenger hunt. I think that's really, really awesome of you. I respect you a lot for that.
Thank you.
And I'm wondering, did you ever figure out if the pizza man truly loves the
I knew that
pizza?
I could feel the setup coming. Did I ever figure out if the pizza man did what?
Truly loves the babysitter.
That's a fantastic question. Good on you. Would have to, maybe we could arrange this tonight after the concert. We could do another screening and see the footage, the original footage of the pizza man and the babysitter. And collectively determine if we saw real sparks flying there. That's a great idea. Yeah. It's funny to think that Eric Kripke wrote that, right? And then went on to do The Boys, which is actual pornography. He no longer has to talk about it, like show someone reacting to it. He can just have the whole audience react to it, you know?
Tell him he needs a pizza man and the boys.
Oh my God, it's genius. What an opportunity missed. They should have done that in that porn scene. There should have been a whole pizza man, babysitter role play going on. I'm still talking to you. Don't walk away from me. Still talking to you about pornography. She's running. She's coming back. Oh, she's leaving. Jeez. Hi.
Hi. So other than Jared, we know that you were very beloved on Supernatural by the cast and the crew. In all seriousness, they do love you. They talk about it all the time. It's very genuine and cute. So you've talked a couple times about how they made you some kind of video for when you wrapped cast and sent it to you. Are you ever going to post that, or is that?
Oh, I don't have that video. That video was just like there was a little it almost felt like a little surprise birthday party or something at the end of my last day of filming, and there was a screen there, and they played a little retrospective video that I didn't have the presence of mind to ask for a copy of. It's probably for the best, because how sad would it be me just replaying that over and over again? No, I don't have it, so.
Did it make you feel good to watch the video then, I guess?
It did. It more than anything, it was just a very sweet gesture from the crew, and I don't know. It was a nice, like, poignant moment of goodbye after a long stretch, which it felt like a retirement party, which it was. Yeah.
Retiring with death.
Yeah. Thanks. It's a funny business that we work in because the nature of the business is that you're doing these projects, ranging from, a few weeks working on an independent movie to, all the way up to 12 or 15 years on a series, which is kind of unheard of. But the nature of it is that everything is expected to be short term, and you form, like, you're working insane hours. It's always 12, 14 hours a day. You're kind of cutting out the rest of your life while you're working in production, and you get to know one another extremely well. The cast and the crew are spending every waking hour with one another. I mean, I was spending more time with Jared and Jensen than I was with my own family for a long time, and then you have to go your separate ways and go work on other productions, and there's a real cleaving that happens. And when Supernatural ended, Jared and Jensen and I had phone calls where we're like checking in on each other, like, are you okay? Because it was almost like a death. Like, you are just cut off suddenly from everything that was your life for many years, and starting from scratch. And it's an intense experience, but it is a funny business because we get to know one another really quickly, really well, and then we have to disperse and go do it again somewhere else. I think that there's the stereotype of the industry, like in Los Angeles, like there's a stereotype of it being shallow, and everybody's like got this like false, they call it false intimacy, like you really connect with people really quickly, but then you never call each other again, kind of thing. But it's actually, I think, just a necessity of the way that particular industry works. Like, you have to get to know each other really well, and then you have to move on. I don't know why I'm telling you all this, but I am, and you're stuck with it, and so is everyone else. Sorry. Hi.
Hi, my name's Mandy. I'm from Seattle.
Hi, Mandy.
What was your mother right about?
Nothing. My mom was right about a lot of things. She was a total fuck up in a lot of ways, and a real visionary in a lot of ways. She taught me to be iconoclastic and not to follow rules, and to be very independent and self-assured in the world in a way that I don't think is common, certainly not anymore. I mean, she was fine with me, hitchhiking to school when I was in grammar school, and gave me the feeling that I could navigate the world safely if I kept my head about me, and gave me there was just so much independence in our childhood, which was really great. Like, we would just get on our bikes and disappear for the day, and go out deep into the woods on our own, and that was really great. Like, I see my own kids, and they're still a little bit nervous at 12 years old and 10 years old about crossing the street. I'm like, I was trying to steal cars. But she did things that I think were really great. Like, she said to me when I was 14, she was like, Misha, you don't have to go to high school if you don't want. And I was like, that was really the right thing for me to hear, because I think she probably knew this, but I was like, no, I want to go to high school, but it was my decision. Like, she gave me so much autonomy and treated me like I could make decisions for myself, and I think that really helped me a lot. Yeah. I had an unusual childhood. Like, we were homeless a lot when I was a kid, and we were doing things that I think we would hitchhike all over the place. Like, we'd hitchhike as a family to get around. And that sounds really crazy, but it also makes somebody feel like they can pretty much do anything in the world and be okay. And it was really nice to also have no money and see that you can be just fine with no money. I still have this attitude about money where I'm like, well, you can take all my money, but I'll be okay, you know? Not that attached to it, which is kind of a nice feeling to go about life with. Yeah, I don't know.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi, Misha. Have you watched anything of the Winchesters yet? And if you were asked, would you like to be on it?
I have not yet watched it, but I intend to. What, 2 or 3 episodes have aired? 2? 2. Yes, I will watch it. So I've been saving it. And I would certainly love to be on the Winchesters. I would love to play Sam Winchester. That'd be amazing. They would immediately not only cancel the show, but the network itself would fold. Hi. You're up.
It's funny, I know. It's my birthday.
Happy birthday.
What are you
You're
going-
dressed as the Pimpmobile.
The Lincoln Continental, actually.
Yes.
Yes, I am. That is true. What are you going to give me for my birthday?
Pizza sounds like a good answer to that question.
I'm actually lactose intolerant.
There's such a thing as vegan pizza. So the Lincoln Continental that Castiel drove, I believe that's what you're dressed as?
Yes, and
Yes. We called it the Pimpmobile, just to be clear. And
I know.
okay. And it had hydraulics in it. So it was one of these cars that would like bounce up and down if you press the buttons. But it was rented to us by this guy who was the owner of the car.
Uh-huh.
You know all this.
I know all this.
And it doesn't matter. And we were instructed not to press the buttons. And Jared was in the passenger seat and did some button pressing. And the car started bouncing up and down, and the guy who owned the car, he was like a block away, he started running toward us, waving his hands, and Jared said he's running towards us, we're waving his hands, saying to stop it. So he pressed the button some more. And it was really jumping, the car really jumped, it was pretty great. But then it broke. And it cost like $10,000 to fix.
Oh my God.
Which apparently was more than it would have cost them to buy the car in the first place. Do you own the car now?
Oh my God, I wish. No.
I wonder who
Do you
bought
own
it.
the car yet?
No, I don't.
Jensen told me you were trying to buy it.
I keep forgetting to follow up on that.
I own it. I actually own that car now. It's my car. Yeah.
Well, this is the key, so if you need to drive your own car.
Oh wow, there you
I'll
go.
probably give it to you.
We're halfway there.
There's some entendre there.
There is.
It's not entendre, it's just insinuation. Yeah. Well, thanks. I look forward to pressing your buttons. And with that,